Hello and welcome to the final training video of the Living Landscapes project. In this session, we'll be exploring additional resources to support you in interpreting the features and monuments you've mapped. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into an area of interest, and I want to have a look at the area near Cow Castle. So I'll just zoom in here. There's Cow Castle. And I can already see lots of archaeological features in the visualization. I can actually see somebody's recorded something, so I'm just going to click on that and have a look. And I'll dock that. So I can see that somebody thinks that this is a ditch. Don't know when it was created, but it's associated with that monument record. Feature shown in the 1888-1913 map, part of old iron workings, and their confidence in it is high. And that's their user code. So I'm not going to interfere with anything in the editor pane, and I'm not going to update their record. I'm just going to close that down, but that is very interesting. So I'm going to navigate towards this area. And I can see these really long linear features standing out in the lidar visualization. So let's zoom in and have a closer look. When I zoom in, it looks like there's no data values. Ooh, and then it looks like a ditch. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to turn on my aerial photography and I'm going to hide my lidar. And there we go, I can see it there. And it probably came up as no data values because there's vegetation on top. So it's probably a hedge. It kind of looks like a bank in the aerial photographs rather than a ditch. So I'm going to turn back on my lidar, turn off my aerial photography. And I'm going to have a look at what they look like in different visualizations. See, yep, there we go, no data values. That's okay, I'm still going to record them, I think. So what I'll do is I'll have a look at historic maps first. Zoom out a little bit. And there they are on the historic map. So these are field boundaries. Now I know that they must have been created between 1888 and 1913 or before that time period. What I can do is I can have a look at more historic maps. Now, in our resources pack, there will be a link to the National Library of Scotland. And when you click on that link, it should take you to this website here. And the first thing we want to do is we want to enter in this top tab an address. So I might have to retype it and stuff. I suppose it's the closest one. And then I can navigate down to Cow Castle. There's the feature that another participant had interpreted. And there's our field boundaries. So what we're looking at here is the OS 6-inch 1888 to 1915. Now that's the exact same map that's in our Living Landscapes project. If we click on this tab here, we get a list of other historic maps that we can have a look at and explore. And the ones we kind of want to be looking at is anything that says 6-inch to 25-inch. You want to avoid the 1 inches, although it is on the 1 inch, because sometimes they don't give you enough detail. So our earliest one is the OS 6-inch 1830s to 1880s county layers. And there's our historic field boundary. So that's the oldest map that it's recorded on. So what I'm going to do is go back to my Living Landscapes map. Go back to my lidar. There it is there. And I'll start recording that. Click on potential monuments. And I will start clicking on the map to draw. And then I'll double click. Now I know that this is a field boundary and there's not an option for no data. So when there is no, you're not sure what the feature is or the monument type is, just click on uncertain. But we know what this is, we know it's a field boundary. And we know that it's 19th century or predates 19th century. So you can either click on 19th century or you can put unknown. We haven't checked our historic environment record data yet, so I'll leave that blank. Notes. So this was actually found in the 1830s to 1880s. County. My confidence in this is high. And put in my user code and I'll press create. Now let's have a look at some other things in the area. Now there was one thing I did see in this was in this corner, if we drag it up, we have 3 old quarries in this map. So let's see if it's in our lidar. Zoom into this area here. Just going to have a quick double check this field. Says 2 old quarries. It's not a third one, and there was a third one. Yes, old quarry. So let's go back to our lidar. And let's just double check our historic environment record data. They're off points and plugins. Okay, so we have something in the area. I'm actually going to double check that this field boundary is not on there, and it's not. So I'm going to click on this to have a look. What's recorded? Numerous small earthwork pits visible on aerial photographs of the 1940s, probably shell or impact craters, evidence of weapons testing during the Second World War. Bomb crater, impact crater. So that doesn't refer to quarries. So let's turn it off and have a look. And I suspect what they're talking about is these little pits here. So that's not our quarries that we're looking at. What I think are our quarries is this pit here, and possibly the third one might be that one. It might be, it might not. So we can start recording these now. If I zoom in. Now you could record just the pit, which is the quarry, but I suspect the white around the quarry is material that's been upcast from the quarry. So I'm actually going to draw around it all. And then I'll double click to finish. Our monument type, we know it was a quarry. Period. Now, 1830 say it's an old quarry, so it predates this map here. And you can see at the bottom here when you hover over that it was published in 1888 and surveyed in 1887. So it predates it. So I'm actually going to put unknown here. We don't have a historic environment record number. And we're going to put old quarry captured in the 1830s to 1880s. County layers. Confidence is high. And I'll put in my user code and press create. Still in editing mode, so I'm just going to go back and I'm going to zoom out, and then I can digitize or draw around the other two. Now there's something else here, and that is this black ditch here, you can see. Now I'm just going to double check my other LiDAR visualizations, so I'm going to turn off my simple look relief model. And in our VAT, it doesn't look like a ditch. To me, It looks like a track on the side of a hill or the side of a slope. So let's just double check all of our visualizations. Yep. Nickel hill shade. Yep. So out of the 4 visualizations, 3 of them, it looks like a track. It only looks like a ditch in our simple local relief model. So let's double check our aerial photography. Let's turn that off. And there we go. That is 100% a track that extends across the field to here. But I didn't see this bit in the lidar visualization. So let's have a look at our historic maps. So it wasn't in this map and it wasn't in this map. So we just flick through our maps and we double check that it's not recorded. Don't think these ones work. No, not work, or it's not captured for this area. That's going to be too big of a scale. Yeah, so it's not on any of our historic maps. So what we can do is we can actually have a look at our aerial photo explorer. So this is another link that's in our resources document, and it's the Historic England Aerial Photo Explorer. When you click on that link, it should take you to this website. Again, we find our address, so our closest address, and we can navigate down to, that's Cow Castle. And actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off the photos by pressing this button here. I'm just going to turn them off so that I can see. And I'm going to change my map to imagery so I can see, there's our track. Zoom in, there's our track. Then what I'll do is I'll turn back on the photos. We've got obliques and verticals, and this is our key. So we can see big orange areas are RAF verticals. So I'll close that down and then I'll click on it. Which photo are you? So it's showing you the extent of that photo. Click on that and then we can actually have a look at the photograph. Now this one's upside down. So north's down here. South is up here. So you've got to orientate yourself a little bit. But this is the field that we were looking in here. And if we zoom in, we can see the track clear as day there. It's not there, and we can see the end of it there. So what we can do is we can zoom out and we can have a look at the date. So if you hover over the photograph, it tells you it was flown on the 13th of May, 1946. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to copy it because this is the unique record for this photograph. It was 1946. So I'll go back to my living landscapes, turn on my lidar and turn off my aerial imagery. And I'm going to start to draw around the track. Track splits off. Just going to capture this bit. Double click to finish. So our monument type is a track. Our period is modern. We don't have a HER number for it. Our notes. So this is where we can paste this in and then we can put it was the 1946. Photo. Our confidence in it is high. And then we can put in our user code and create. Still in editing mode, so I'm going to go back. Now another record we can look at is Know Your Place. So this is also in our resources document. So the first thing I want to do, Simmons Bath's already in there, is navigate to where I want to be. And I might have to pull this across just so I can see where I am. That's Simmons Bath, so I need to zoom out a little bit. Flex Barrow, zoom in. That Cow Castle. Oh, that's Cow Castle. Farm. And here's the field boundaries and the area we were looking at. And then I can drag this back across to have a look at some more data. So we have our information layers here. We have a list, we have our key, so we know what we're looking at. And we have our Exmoor Historic Environment Record data. So that's the same data that is in our Living Landscapes map. But what we also have here is base maps. So if we click on that, we have comparison map, which is on our left hand, and we have the main map, which is on our right hand. So if we click on main map, we're looking at the 2019 base map. If we click on comparison map, we can see that we're looking at the 1894 to 1903 OS 25-inch second edition. And we can see that our field boundaries are there, and 3 is the old quarry of our old quarries. We can also then have a look at some of these maps. Now, not all of them cover Exmoor. I do know that the 1840s does cover it. We zoom out a little bit just so it's a bit clearer. We can actually see that our field boundary that we recorded is actually captured in the 1840 pre-Somerset enclosures map. So we could actually add some additional information to that. So if we go back to our Living Landscapes and click on the boundary that we did before. Somerset, what's the name? Somerset enclosures map. Oh, Somerset enclosures. And then we can update that record. That down. So that's a wrap for our final session. We've explored a few more resources to help you interpret the features and monuments you've mapped. So thank you for joining us, and enjoy exploring the Living Landscapes portal, and happy discovering.